Well, I have the one and only Chris Cotton on the podcast. What's up, Chris?
Not much, just enjoying a beautiful, warm, sunny, no snow on the ground, ice. Kansas City. Go Kansas City. Just kidding.
Yeah, you had some troubles getting here, didn't you?
A little bit, not too bad. Like they closed the airport yesterday morning for like 4 hours, but we came in right after that.
Yeah.
So we were some of the lucky ones, but we came in a day early. I don't teach till tomorrow, but coming through Denver to Kansas City in basically towards the end of winter, I was like, yeah, we better leave early because something's going to happen. But actually, we kind of skated through. So,
by the way, this is Automotive Repair News Today. I'm Braxton. He's Chris from AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching. And Lucas Underwood, he's always just freaky about flights.
Oh, yeah.
And I always tell him, well, Lucas, you're always so concerned that we're going to miss our flight, and it never happens. So take a chill pill, will ya? And so he texted me Tuesday. We had our flight Wednesday. And so he texted, by the way, we're at Vision in Kansas City, 2025. And he texted me Tuesday and he was like, it's gonna be dicey. I don't know if we're gonna make it there. There's some storms coming in. I said, Lucas, just deep breath. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna get there. And we did get here. But he was partially right because my flight from Asheville to Charlotte and then Charlotte to here, Asheville, 11 a.m. Thursday got canceled at 10 p.m. Wednesday night. Well, then American Airlines then rescheduled my flight, and they wanted me to fly from Asheville at 6 a.m. to Washington. No, I'm sorry. 7 p.m. the next day, go to Washington, D.C., stay there overnight, then Thursday morning, fly from D.C. to Chicago, then Chicago to Kansas City, get here 3 in the afternoon on Thursday. I was like, no way. It's not going to happen. So I called American. We worked it out. But Lucas partially was right this time. But out of the 4 or 5 times I've flown with him, he's been wrong every other time. So he gets like a half point.
Yep.
He gets a half point.
He sounds like, I wonder what his birthday is. He sounds like a constant, I love my wife to death, but a constant worrier. Like she's super anxious around travel and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So she gets worked up. I try to make everything go smooth as possible. But I don't know. We made it here. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, I mean, he has some reasons to be that way in some other parts of his life, but he is that guy. He is. And I used to be worried about travel. Like I used to always be concerned about missing the flight, whatever. But the more I've flown, the more I've just realized as long as you get there, hour and a half, 2 hours ahead of time, you're gonna be okay.
Right. Well, I'm 52 years old now, so I've learned there's absolutely zero control I have over it.
Right.
And that's, I mean,
and
I think
worry doesn't help.
Yeah, I think once you get past that point, you're like, it is what it is.
Can you talk to Lucas after we're done?
I can try, but I don't think it'll do.
Probably not.
Maybe he should listen to this and be so. Lucas, hey, come on. There's nothing you can do about it. Get over it. Just what I have learned though is if you get up and try to fly earlier in the morning, then you have more room to correct errors than if you leave it like noon or whatever. Because if you miss a flight late in the day, you're done. Because you're in trouble.
I'm a big margin guy. Leave margin.
Yeah.
I like to be on time. Other people in my life aren't that way, but I'm just leave margin, and that's the way it needs to be in flying too.
Right.
So anyway, we're recording this podcast on. They're not a sponsor of the podcast, but I'm going to tell you what we're using. We're using Hollyland wireless microphones, and I forget the exact version that we're using. You can look them up. Maybe I can post a link in the show notes. But we are sitting upstairs at the Vision Expo.
Out in the open, like we can hear a lot of background noise and everything else, but I mean, these things have been pretty amazing. Like, I don't know why I would need one, but maybe I need to go ahead and grab one of these. You
have a podcast, Chris.
I guess I do. Yeah. Well, we have 3 now. So we've got
You have
the
2,
weekly.
Yes.
Yeah, but 2. We got the weekly Blitz with Chris Cotton, and then we got the AutoFix Technology Cast, and then Michael Doherty's AutoFix Advisor Cast.
Yep.
So I spent.
Whenever you go to shows,
Yeah, we should
this is
just
all
take
you
this.
need.
And then there's this little, I call it a dongle, but I don't know, that just plugs into the bottom of your
Right.
phone to connect it all, and it looks like it's good to go.
It comes with, and the reason I've got Chris on is I want to talk about technology, and like he already mentioned, he hosts the AutoFix Technology Cast. But yeah, so it's got the dongle for like an older iPhone, which is what I have, and then it has the dongle
USB-C,
for newer.
yep.
It's USB-C. Yep, it goes to the newer, and also Androids. But also, what I love is it has a dongle that you can plug into your camera. So when I shoot video for
with your other camera,
yeah,
okay.
so like I have a Fujifilm X-T4, and so when I shoot video for a client or Lucas at his repair shop, I can plug this dongle into a regular audio jack straight to my camera. It overrides the audio, and it's fantastic. Great audio. And these microphones clip right to my shirt with like magnet, or you can use the regular clip, but I just use the magnets. So, for repair shop owners who are trying to get into social media, something like this is really great because it was like $120. The battery life is fantastic, and the audio quality, as you are listening to this show right now, and we're recording upstairs in a convention center, the audio quality is great. So for a repair shop owner that's trying to get into social media videos, it's $120 and you get really good quality. Or if you're like me, you're trying to do a podcast like Chris, take these to
wherever
shows.
You can, yeah, take them and knock it out.
You can just record. And I've got an app on my phone that I'm recording the audio directly to, and then I can upload it and do my thing. But so technology has greatly increased in the past 5 years in life in general. You have the iPhone 15. I have an 11. My phone, I forget when the 11s came out, like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But if we were to compare my video quality to your video quality, it would be night and day. And my video quality compared to the iPhone 5 is night and day.
Oh, yeah.
So it's crazy what technology has done in the past half decade. So I'm just curious, you've done 6 or 7 episodes at this point of the Technology Cast. You've talked to some really great guests about technology in the industry. You've been picking their brain. What have you learned? Where are we at technology-wise?
And technology in the industry, you can kind of look at it like technology with phones, right? Like you can be a guy like my dad who's in his 70s who still has a flip phone. Like, I don't even know how he makes that work anymore. I guess there's like 1 or 2 companies out there left that still service flip phones.
Some people, like, not even just older folks. Some people just want that.
Right.
They don't care. So there are a few companies, but there's not many.
So and I could even go further back. Like when I was a kid, there was like bag phones, right? That was the first cell phones. It was like a bag phone.
Yeah. Well, my mom had one in the minivan growing up. She had a bag phone.
And my grandpa worked in the oil industry, and I can even remember, like, you couldn't even remove the phone out of the truck. It was like hardwired in.
Oh, yeah.
But 24 hours a day, he left his truck running in the front yard or wherever he was at, and the horn would honk, and he would run out there and pick up the phone. Yeah. So that takes it back to that. And so anyway, there's varying stages of technology, right? You've got grandpa's car phone, bag phones, brick phones, flip phones, and then smartphones, and then now like our advanced smartphones, right? I feel like as an industry, if you take all of the industry and kind of squeeze it together, like we're probably still in the flip phone age, right? Like,
oh, you think so?
I think so. I don't think we use our technology to our advantage at all. One of the questions I'm going to ask tomorrow is, how many of you use DVIs and have a regular process and procedure around it? And my guess is probably a third of the shop owners do DVIs and whatever. I did a class recently in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I did 3 and asked the same question. And probably a third of them said, yes, we have DVI, and yes, we have a process and procedure around it. Where we all know, for all of my clients, and even our shop that we bought, anybody that goes from a paper inspection to a DVI process, your average repair order increases by like $245 just by switching. So when people say, oh, I can't afford it, that's all hogwash, right? Like you will make more money by switching to that process. I also feel like the more I talk to shop owners, the more we use about 20% of our systems of the technology that we have in place. I feel like we have a lot of technology that we use, but we just barely use it enough to do what we need to do, and then we don't learn about any of the rest of it. So I still think we have a lot of growth to go, and maybe this year, maybe we'll catch up and move from like the flip phone to the smartphone era. But by then, technology advances so fast. Like, what's going to happen in the next year in order to move on? The other part of technology that I don't think about is just the data. And a lot of technology now is based around data retrieval, what they do with it, especially like your CRMs, your shop management systems. And I never really thought of data and data analysis as technology, but I guess it's behind the scenes.
Yeah,
but
right.
I would see that as being huge at this point.
Wow. I mean, I think I assumed that we were kind of behind, but I don't think I expected you to say we're like a flip phone stage.
Yeah, I think as an industry we're way behind.
Wow.
Like if you look at what we do, and if you look at the total industry, like if you look at 200,000 aftermarket repair shop owners out there, and if you follow the 80-20 rule, that means there's about 40,000 shops that are kind of up to date and using technology and everything else, and the other 160,000 are still using pen and paper, and they don't have a DVI or anything else. Like it's, I think if you really got into that number, you'd be shocked to see the lack of technology being used in our industry.
Man, wow. You've kind of like shut me up, Chris. did not expect that to come out of your mouth. So I wanted to talk about AI, and maybe we can.
Which we can, yeah.
But I think that's more on the advanced side. I think to get to where you can use AI at your shop, you first have to start with some other tech.
Right, yeah.
So where do you think, a shop owner needs to go first if they're sort of way behind?
Well, if you're writing like pen and paper, or if you have like one of the older legacy systems that's not cloud-based, you need to upgrade that to a cloud-based shop management system.
Well, let's leave them to the side.
Okay.
Because I feel like, and I don't know this, but I would hope if you're listening to this podcast, then you at least have shop management system. So let's leave that as the baseline.
Okay.
Let's say you have shop management. Maybe you need to upgrade it.
Right.
Maybe you're using DVI,
or actually use the DVI and have a process.
Yeah. Let's say that's the baseline. What is the next? Hey, tech. Maybe it is AI. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, and here's the thing: it's like computer technology back then. It's evolving so fast; it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah. And
by the time you start, then that's already obsolete, and there's something else happened. I think there's some great tools, some some production saving things that you can do or you can use that's automated or AI. One of the things that I like, it still needs to be tweaked a little bit, is the AI generated review answering. Like you have to do some tweaking to it, but especially if you're a bigger shop and you're getting like 4, 5, 6, 10 reviews a day or a week, and you want those to be answered immediately, there's some really good AI stuff around that. There's some talk about AI driven estimating to like help you create your estimates and make it faster, which I'm very interested in. But I'm like, most good service advisors can create an estimate really, really quick in the systems they're using. So I was like, I'm not really excited about it, but I want to see what it can do. And then as far as like AI generated questions and answers, you can use that for chat if you're somebody that might be technology averse. But I will tell you, some of the stuff that we've done in our shop, just by being able to sell tires on the internet and having that automated, if you can have some of those things automated and help out with AI, I think it really would help. And then if you've got technicians typically are not great spellers. They have a great way of putting stuff out there. You could copy and paste what they have, put it in AI,
Right.
and let it
sort of
clean it up and
right.
whatever, and then copy and paste that back into the work order. I think things like that would be really, really helpful. My brain works a little differently. Like if you're like, Chris, hey, write me a 1-page paper. Like some of it's going to be in caps, some of it's going to be in lower space, some of it's going to be printed, some of it's going to be cursive, which I know all you young ones, maybe you, I don't know, can you even read cursive, Braxton?
I can.
Okay.
It just depends on how
got
old
hieroglyphics and then cursive, right?
Yeah, like if it's my 90-year-old grandma, probably not.
Yeah.
But my 60-year-old,
There you go.
mom, I
Yep.
can read her cursive because there's levels.
Right.
But yeah.
So if you ask me to like handwrite something without typing it, it would be atrocious. But
Cursive. Now,
my cursive, but my brain switches from uppercase, lowercase, cursive.
now see,
Like I could have 1 page and you would see all of that in there.
I can read cursive.
Yeah.
I can sign my name.
Yeah.
But if I had to write cursive, maybe I'm like you.
Really?
It's been so long since I wrote cursive.
Well, it's not I'm out of practice. It's just my brain
I just
malfunctioning.
I don't know if I could write cursive right now. I'd have to try that out. I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
And it's like
I can read it, but I don't know if I can
really
write it.
try hard to write and make it legible. It just not like you
No,
just can't. It's like none of it. But anyway, so you can use AI stuff like that, and there's some works with. I'd have to get on my computer and look at it. There's some stuff AI wise now where you can take an income statement and put it in there, and if you have some parameters set, it will come back and tell you like what you're doing wrong. Like are your margins low? Are your margins high? Which, maybe that may make coaching obsolete, but it would be an interesting thing for us to be able to do, to scan it in and be like, hey, well, what are the top 5 things this shop could do?
I think we are a long way away from replacing a lot of things. I think people are scared because there's potential.
Yeah.
But I think we are a long way away from replacing most people.
Right.
Especially when you think about coaching.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
that's
I mean,
not gonna happen.
and it could be. So here's the other thing: is it might be making.
I think we're wearing the same vest. I just realized that, but
Yeah.
I think we're both wearing Eddie Bauer.
Yep.
But-
and mine has the AutoFix
Yeah,
logo
it's a
and
different
everything
shade
on it.
of gray,
Different
but-
shade of gray. Yep.
Anyway, sorry about that.
That's
I
funny.
had to bring that out. The more I keep looking at you, I'm like, is that the same
Is that the
vest?
same?
And I think it is.
Mine's a couple sizes bigger, but
Well,
so I think there's stuff like that can make you faster. Like maybe it saves you 5 minutes a day for that one task. But if you do that one task like 50 times, then how much time did that save you? So there's all of those things, and they're just coming out in the industry. There's like AI texting. Like I coach a shop that they don't take any inbound phone calls. They text everything. The customers are prompted to text in. And so now they're creating like responses based off of the texts that come in to help get them to the end and schedule without a person even interacting with them at all.
wow.
And even
Do
without
they
a person
have a
like
service
texting.
advisor?
Yeah, they have a service advisor, but the service advisor's in the shop taking care of customers that are there.
Right.
And this is just a function done outside of that to make the service
How are
advisor
their
more
finances?
productive.
Have they seen a dip or an increase?
No, they've been doing this for years. Like
Really?
this is not a new thing. They're on the West Coast, and they like if you call their shop, you never speak to a person ever. You call the shop, it says, hey, to schedule an appointment, text here, or if you'd like to email here, email here.
Maybe that's a West Coast thing. I don't think that would be very successful in a lot of other places.
It's they've trained their people, and
Right.
I think people are more used to it than you think, and there are some people that want to be talked to, and there's some people that don't want to be
that's
talked
true.
to. Like for me, being a coach and a consultant, and I have like ton of appointments every day. And I've said this before on my podcast, if I stop to take out the trash, it costs me money. So if I have to stop to talk to somebody to make an appointment or do something like that, if it's something that can be done in 30 seconds versus 5 minutes, then I'm all the better for it at that point to like schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you'll remember, like Craig O'Neill and I did a podcast like recently where we're trying to figure out like how much technology is too much technology before you lose that personal touch. And you have to kind of figure out what that is for your shop. Just like all shops are different in how they profit, their rent, everything like that. Everybody's shop's going to be different on how they interact with the customers, how they schedule appointments, and all of that.
So have you heard of voice controller?
Explain to me. I may not know that name, but if
voice controller is a new company technology that came out of Shop Controller, the shop management system,
okay,
and it is an AI answering phone service.
Okay, yes, I've heard some of those transcripts back and forth.
Yeah. Look into it. You probably should even have Mike Corverick, their CEO, on your show.
Okay,
but it's really interesting because they don't brand it as replacing the actual person,
right?
Because I am of the belief. I guess that works for that one shop, but I'm of the belief that there still needs to be that person that answers the phone that you can have that connection with to, brand your shop,
right?
Friendly voice. But when your service advisor's away from the desk or he's on the phone or after hours, this AI answering service answers the phone and it sounds like it sounds just like a person.
Right.
And so they say this is a AI answering service just so they're not being shady or whatever.
Right.
And it's crazy. One repair shop, because there's so many things in your business that you don't even know about. Like you don't even know you're missing this, whatever.
Right.
And he signed up with Voice Controller and in 1 month booked 10 extra appointments.
Yeah.
From this service.
What we're seeing is, and this is the whole thing, right? Like as shop owners, we spend a lot of money trying to get the phone to ring and make sure that we convert. Stuff like that and the online appointments convert more than actual people answering the phone.
Yeah.
So other people may want it, but what we're seeing is we're converting more appointments, not using people in most instances.
Yeah.
And that thing I was talking about earlier, where you put the spreadsheets in and it'll give you like the top 5 things, like what's wrong with your business. You can also tell it to turn it into a 15-minute 2-person podcast, and it'll create a voice podcast between 2 people talking about these things in that business.
Have you been doing that with your show?
I have not. No, I'm not. Honestly, it would be easier than getting some of these people on sometimes. Like maybe I should do that.
Yeah, you should.
I could just like start a script and be like, hey, here we go. But no, it's just amazing the things that AI is doing and is capable of.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody needs to do it, but you need to know about it, like, and be watching it and listening to it and just seeing what's out there with it.
Yeah. What else technology wise are we not taking advantage of that we should?
I think like I just recently did a podcast with the Garage Gurus guys. I don't think we take advantage of the online training at all. Like, and I didn't get it in that episode. I was going to do a teaser for it, but I'll say it here. They have their online training up to 10 users, $49 a month. And that is training for your technicians that you can't beat. They have all of their ASE test prep, all their other training, everything on there for $49 for up to 10 users. Yeah.
Wow.
And so like every shop in America should subscribe to that and use it, even if you have 8 techs, or they also have some service advisor training in there and don't use it. So again, I think we see shiny bells and whistles, and that's what we're attracted to, but then we want to do it, but then we only use 20% of it instead of going like deeper into what those things will do. And
it probably just goes back to, time. Because, shop owner probably thinks, oh, well, I need to tap into this, I need to do this, but I kind of got to set it up first. It takes time.
We all have the same amount of time. I think it goes back to poor time management.
Yeah.
Like, again, people being too busy in their shop and not being able to work on their shop is kind of what it all boils back down to. And they have time. They have the same amount of time as you do, I do, everybody else does, but they've decided not to make it a priority for whatever reason.
Hey, listen, you calling people out, and I love it because I'm that way. I hate excuses, and so many times when somebody says I don't have time, it's really just an excuse.
Right? Yeah. You just didn't. You just didn't make time.
You didn't prioritize it.
Yeah. You didn't prioritize it exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, where do you think the industry can be technology-wise in 5 years? You think we can make some strides?
I think we can make some strides. Again, it's just people have to learn about it, do it, adapt to it, figure out how it works for you. I recently did, I've been going around the country doing our peer group meetings for this time of year, and I kind of did like a State of the Union thing at all of those. And one of the things I talked about was cars are more unreliable now than they were 5 years ago. And if you look back at our industry back in the early 2000s, like the big push was, hey, you have to get into preventative maintenance because cars are more reliable. They're going to break down less often. So you have to make sure that you teach your customers about preventative maintenance. I think we've swung all the way back to where we were in the late 90s and the early 2000s to where cars are unreliable. I don't want shop owners to forget about preventative maintenance because we still have to do that. But breakdowns are worse now than they've ever been. New cars are unreliable. I'd have to go back. I don't have any of those numbers in front of me.
Well, new cars are unreliable because they got a lot of tech in there, and the tech fails.
And that's why they're failing. But also, we've got the tariff situation that's happening. I think we're down millions of units a year in new car sales, which is great for us because the average age keep going up. So that part of the outlook is we're all going to be busy. We're going to have a lot to do, but how we handle it, how we schedule it, what we do with those are things that we can use to our advantage. So, one, be better at scheduling. If you're a shop that you're proud to be booked out 3-4 weeks in advance, I say it's bullshit. Like if you're happy because you're booked out 3-4 weeks, I think you're probably losing more customers than you're getting, and you need to figure out a better way to use your space, be more productive. One of the big things I'm big on is if you have an 8-bay shop, you need to figure out how to put 8 technicians in that shop. If you have a smaller shop, for sure you need to do that because, if you have somebody sick, COVID, whatever's going around now, the flu, we had a lot of flu going around on the East Coast where we had shops that half their employees were gone for like 6, 7, 10 days and their sales just plummeted. And then I've gotten off track, Braxton. So really, you're gonna have to ask me that question again.
You said number one,
right?
You were like, you were answering the question about where can the industry be in 5 years?
Oh, okay.
So
I think the future of the repair is definitely the technology, right? Like you're gonna have to embrace hybrid vehicles on some level. You're gonna have to get training on it. I think you're gonna have to embrace electric vehicles on some level. I think that there's going to come a time in the next year or two where you have remote technicians that may or may not work in the same town as you do. And maybe somebody calls up to a hotline or answers a Google ad and you remote into their car and run your diagnostic scan on it. And it says, okay, we need to do a software update. So then your technician sends them an invoice for the software update. They pay it and you're like, hey, don't touch it for an hour. I'm going to do your software update remotely.
Really?
And then hit the button and boom, it'll get done. And then there you are. Or that technician's going to remote in and be like, hey, according to what we're seeing on here, you need X hard part. So now I'm going to schedule you in at our shop to get that hard part done. And then they can do the software update.
You think that's realistic in 5 years?
I think so. I mean, if you look at what Tesla's doing that right now. Now, I know some people love Tesla, some people hate Tesla, but I think there's a case for it. And, it's not going to be for everybody, but can you imagine having a room full of technicians billing out at, I don't know what that's worth. Is it $200 an hour, $250 an hour? And you don't have a brick and mortar shop. You just have the network, the advertising and whatever to be able to do that. I know a guy.
That'd be crazy.
I know a guy in Europe that works on Teslas all over the world remotely from Europe, and he does Teslas in the United States, Teslas in Europe, Teslas in South America. Remotely that are out of warranty, and he can do all the software stuff up from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world.
Wow.
So, I mean, the sky's the limit. You just got to figure out how big a piece of that pie you want and what you want to do with it. And I could be 100% wrong, but you know,
I mean, it's
some of the people
possible.
I've talked to, we're doing it now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I just haven't thought about it, but that
Yep.
makes sense as a thing in the future.
yeah.
Man.
So I don't know. Technology is crazy. It's advancing. Just read about it, learn about it. Check the same thing from different sources, though. It's just like the regular news, right? Like learn about it and see what's going on.
Well, he's Chris Cotton from the Auto Fix Technology Cast, and if he has blown your mind like he's blown mine, you need to go listen to his show because he's talking to all the powers that be that are, you know, making the technology that we're talking about and making a difference in the industry. And hopefully we grow and use more technology because it will help, right? But it also will be necessary.
It's a freight train. It's coming.
Yeah. So why not go ahead and try and get ahead of it?
Yep.
So thanks, Chris.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. Sorry I didn't go down the path you wanted me to go down.
No,
but
it was great.
That's why we turned it on here in the convention center with people going up and down the escalator next to us.
That's right.
And all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And, you know, that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, we are at Vision. So, you know, if I think I'm going to try and release this, let's see, Saturday. So there's like a day and a half left. If you want to come say what's up, you know, do that.
Say hi. Yep.
Come jump on my podcast, Automotive Repair News Today, or come on Chris's and talk about technology. That'd be cool too. So thanks for listening to Automotive Repair News Today. Hey, if you're still here, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Automotive Repair News Today. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment, like, share, subscribe to the podcast. It'll help us out a big deal and help grow the show. And you know what? While you're at it, slap on a review too if you feel like this content is helpful for the industry. Don't forget to follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. We're on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Stay connected and be the first to know about new episodes, behind-the-scene content, and more. And until next time, let's make the industry better together.